On today's episode of the Tackle Talk podcast, we are joined by a gentleman that you're probably not familiar with yet. But we're going to change that today as we are joined by a young entrepreneur with a very cool solution to your hard bait storage headaches as we sit down with the founder of SlotTech, Campbell Coyle. This young man has positioned himself to single-handedly turn the tackle storage space on its head, and we have the pleasure of being his first full interview. So a very cool, exclusive episode of the Tackle Talk podcast starts right now.
Hello, everybody. I'm Bill Dance, and you're listening to Tackle Talk.
This is the Tackle Talk podcast, brought to you by The Rod Locker. Premium gear and expert advice from a staff you can trust. Now, here's your host, Andrew Hayes.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Tackle Talk podcast. As always, we are brought to you by The Rod Locker. And thank you to everybody that came out and supported Brian and Chad and the whole team at The Rod Locker this past weekend, because on Saturday, they had their giant grand opening event. And I saw some pictures. It looked like an amazing time. I can't tell you guys how awesome it is to see that dream of theirs come to life as they start to pave their own path in the tackle retail industry. So cool. But for those of you that were just simply too far away to make the trip to the grand opening, you are in luck because their incredible grand opening sale is still going on right now. Brian and Chad were kind enough to keep those sales live on the website just for us, just for Tackle Talk for another 2 days so that you guys can take advantage of those killer sales that they had over at the Rod Locker for that grand opening. So today, Tuesday, February 3rd, and Wednesday, February 4th, you can get 15% off site-wide, normal exclusions apply, with code GRAND26. GRAND26, like grand opening, GRAND 26. That's going to save you 15% off site-wide, except for those normal exclusions. But then you can take an extra 25% off the following items. Yes, extra. You heard that right. So 15% off site-wide plus an extra 25% off the following items, making it 40% off this list that I'm about to read. So on that list of 40% off deals, basically, because you get 15 plus 25, are Shimano Neck Save Reels, Rapala Jowlers, Yamamoto Slinkos, River to Sea S-Wavers, Spro Outsiders, Spro Wamiku Shads, Shimano Zodius Rods, and Jackal Drift Fries. That whole list that I just read is 25% off. You'll see that on the website. And then when you check out, you can stack that with that code GRAND26 to basically give you 40% off that list that I just read. It's crazy. Brian and Chad and the whole crew over there are madmen. I actually had to text Brian back and make sure that I read that right. And I was like, just to make sure I'm not crazy, that is 15 plus 25, right? And he said, yes, absolutely. So confirmed, crazy deals on the list that I just read off, and 15% off the entire rest of the website. So you can head over to www.therodlocker.com. And as a reminder, the month has changed, which means our discount code has changed as well. So your code now at the Rod Locker is Tackle Talk February. That's the pattern that we're going to follow for our codes from here on out. So last month was Tackle Talk January. This month, Tackle Talk February over at www.therodlocker.com. Okay, everybody, today is an episode that I'm pretty darn excited for. And it's been hard to keep a secret. We've had this locked up for a while. We actually recorded this episode probably 3 weeks ago now, and we've had it in the hopper. And we scheduled this episode probably a month ago at this point. But I will shoot you guys straight on this. This is one of those shows where I was doing a real deep tackle surfing session late at night. I was down a rabbit hole in an algorithm, and I came across a video that I think at the time probably had, 20 likes on it maybe. And I watched it, and I immediately messaged the guy. Like, I've never done that before in my life. I don't think I've ever had such a spontaneous, very quick follow and message to somebody as I did when I watched that first video of his product. And I think this was probably the quickest Tackle Talk guest booking that I've ever done. I don't normally do that. I'm normally a very calculated person. There was something about this product that said, you have to talk to this guy as soon as possible. And the reason that this episode is happening is so simple, and that's why I love it, because I have spent a lot of time looking at fishing gear and fishing tackle, like a ton. I go to ICAST every year. I go to the Classic every year. I go to expos every year. I spend hours and hours a week just surfing the web, looking at all this tackle. I just enjoy looking at fishing gear, and I have seen every hard bait, soft bait, line, rod, reel, many of which I've probably seen a billion different iterations of at this point. Every shape, every weight, every color, and it's so hard for a product to really catch me off guard anymore and impress me so quickly that you just say out loud, holy cow, that's cool. It just doesn't happen very often anymore. We're very jaded. There's a ton of options out there in the fishing world. But this young man's product is the first product that actually made me do that in a long time. And what makes it even cooler is that he hasn't even sold a single one yet. He's been developing it behind the scenes, and he's been working to improve it and make it better and be able to scale it to a point where he can produce them and can start selling them. And I think it's just the embodiment of like the scrappy underdog who has built a better mousetrap. Now, the problem is after you build that better mousetrap, the hard part comes, which is trying to get the word out there into the world that your product exists and that people should buy it. And that's kind of what I want to do today. This platform that we've built over the past 7+ years has been used as a spotlight for some incredible small businesses that build great products that kick the snot out of the big boys in the fishing industry. They just might not have the resources or the budgets to spend on advertising and get the word out there like a Berkeley or a Strike King. They don't have those budgets. But here at Tackle Talk, we can do our part. We can shine a spotlight on those great small companies that have built superior products and deserve to be household names. Like, think of the list of companies that we've had on Tackle Talk in the past. Battle Baits, Beast Coast, Great Lakes Finesse, Clutch Swim Baits, Jig Masters, Big Joshy Swim Baits, like those type of companies. Because at the end of the day, I just believe that good people making great products deserve to be recognized. And that's what we have here today. So our guest today is Campbell Coyle from SlotTech. And I would encourage you, before we get into today's episode, take like 10 seconds, pull up Instagram and type in SlotTech. That's SLOTTECH_. That is his Instagram, and you'll at least get a visual of what we're talking about today. Now, this is an audio-only show, right? We're a podcast. We're not a YouTube channel for the most part. We keep that delineation pretty clear around here, but this is one of those episodes where the visual, or at least a quick reference of what we're talking about, will be extremely helpful as we go through this conversation. So give it a look, take 10 seconds, give him a follow. It's SLOTTECH_. I'll leave the link in the description too, so you can find it a little easier. But go click on that so you get a frame of reference. For those of you that are like driving in the car, or you can't do that right now for any given reason, I won't give too much away, but Campbell has basically created small 3D printed inserts that slide right into two existing tackle boxes, the Flambeau 5007 box, which I use a ton of, and the Evolution 3.7 box. And his inserts that he's making are an insanely efficient way to organize crankbaits and jerkbaits. So no more tangles, no more messes. It's modular, so you can mix and match them. And not only does it look amazing and it keeps your, tackle box beautifully organized and it looks awesome, but it maximizes the capacity of that box. So for instance, a Flambeau 5007 box is, $5 at your local Walmart. And then you can get these SlotTech inserts that he makes and you put them in that 5007 box. Now that 5007 Flambeau holds 48 crankbaits or 36 jerkbaits. So think about that. 48 completely organized, faced the same way, the exact same angle. You can see the colors, see the bills. It's awesome. All of those 48 jerkbaits organized in a way that's easy to pull out of the box, easy to put back in, or you can do the same thing with 36 jerkbaits in one box. For reference, that is like twice the capacity of some of these other really expensive specialized boxes out there, and this uses existing tackle boxes that you already have or that are cheap to find at your local big box store, and it makes them more efficient at a more cost-effective price. I really think this is one of like the smartest products that I've seen in a long time. And I don't say that lightly, I promise. It is really, really freaking cool. And the timing of this episode is very important too, because we recorded this episode probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, maybe. And to be honest, at that time, Campbell didn't even have a website. He didn't have a price list. He just wasn't ready to start selling these yet. And I didn't want to set him up for failure or release this too early for him. I want to try and help people like this succeed. So I said, hey, let's record an episode. And then rather than drop it right away and you get stuck with a bunch of demand that you can't even fill because you don't have a website, you don't have stock, I said, let's wait till you're ready. And now Campbell is ready. So we are releasing this episode, and Campbell has built a website. He's got his pricing down. He's got a big stock of these built up, and we are dropping this episode 2 days before his official launch. So this episode comes out on Tuesday, February 3rd, and this Thursday, so 2 days from now, February 5th, SlotTech officially opens for business, and you can buy this product starting Thursday. So if you enjoy this episode and you want to purchase SlotTech organizers for your tackle box starting this Thursday, February 5th, you can purchase those from his brand new website, which is c-2fishing.com. So that is C as in cat, a hyphen, the number 2, fishing.com. I will put a link to that in the show notes today too to make it real easy just to click and go to it. But that's his website, c-2fishing.com. And the last thing that I'll say before we get into the conversation here is that I personally think it's important to support people like this, like people that are actually trying to innovate, people that are actually trying to build better products. And what makes it so cool is that it's a guy who just had a really good idea. He's got an engineering background that you'll hear, and he made it happen like in his garage. And he did that with 0.0000001% of the resources that these big companies have. And he made it happen. And if Tackle Talk was built for anything, if there's any good that can come out of Tackle Talk, it's this. It's putting people and ideas like this in the spotlight. So with that, I am excited to introduce to you all SlotTech. All right, ladies and gentlemen, today we are joined by, I guess I would call you the owner, the founder, a lot of titles, I'm sure, as this business gets off the ground, but owner and founder of SlotTech. It is Campbell Coyle. Campbell, how's it going, man? Welcome to Tackle Talk.
Hey, it's going great. Thanks for having me on.
So I think, and I don't know for sure, but I feel pretty confident saying this, I think this is the most spontaneous episode of Tackle Talk we have ever done in like the 6 years that we've done this show. Like, I don't think in the 6 years of Tackle Talk I have ever seen something and so quickly message somebody to see if they will come on the show, because it was just kind of that instant. And we're very planned about everything we do here at Tackle Talk. And I think this might equally be as out of my comfort zone for me as it probably is for you doing the show. But you are in the process of creating and releasing a product that caught my eye that I thought could be a really fun conversation on how it came about, your process, getting it to the point where you are about to launch, but also a great example for kind of young entrepreneurs that are in the fishing space that want to make a product and do it the right way and protect it. So I guess for starters, we'll back up. We'll start at like square one here. Campbell, I will be honest, I know nothing about you, right? I know what we've talked about really briefly and like, you know, a text message back and forth pretty much, and that's about it. So can you give me the basics of like who you are, how old you are, where you're from, and kind of your fishing background?
Yeah, so I'm 23, just turned 23. I live in Kentucky. I'm attending college right now at the University of Kentucky, working on my engineering degree. While I'm at Kentucky, I've also been bass fishing for the University of Kentucky. So I'm a big college angler, been traveling around the nation doing that whole series. Haven't had much time to do that this year with the business and everything. Recently got married, so that also took away time and stuff like that. But yeah, that's a quick rundown on me.
So fishing background then, being in Kentucky, like are you a Kentucky Lake guy, big water? Are you creeks, rivers, a little bit of everything? I know you got, you know, a lot of options in your backyard down there.
Yeah, so where I'm from, closest lakes are like Cedar Creek and Harrington.
Okay.
They're not like, Cedar can have some big ones in it. Harrington's hit or miss. If I want to go on a good day of fishing, I'm probably going to go down to like Cumberland, or either I really like Kentucky Lake. I'm down there a lot too. That's where my wife's family is from. So always got a good place to stay whenever I go down and fish there. So a little bit of everything.
Well, obviously the reason that we ask you on today is because you are starting a brand new company called SlotTech. So anybody that's listening to this, it is SlotTech. And I wanted to kind of get a background from you on how you ended up starting this company. But before, I guess I'll give you like my 30-second spiel on how I found you, which is I was, doing what a lot of us do. I'm sitting in bed, I'm doom scrolling on Instagram at like, 11 o'clock at night, and I'm going through the Instagram reels, and I see a reel. It's probably a 15-second video. It is just a really short video of you shaking a tackle box full of jerk baits. And there's one row of jerk baits that get tangled up like all of mine do and all of ours do, as we, pack like a 3,700 size box full of as many jerk baits as we can fit in it. And then the other row right above it had like, I think 9 jerk baits in it that all stayed perfectly still. And I watched it probably 3 or 4 times. I clicked on your page. I did about 30 seconds more worth of research. And I said, I got to message this guy and see if he'll come on. And like I said, I've never probably done that before in my life, but the product caught my eye. So that is how I found you. And for fun, when I found you, I screenshotted your page because I wanted to kind of remember this down the road. You had 275 followers. I think you had 3 or 4 videos maybe out. This video that I watched had maybe, 20 likes on it probably. And it's going to be really cool to see where this goes in the future. But that's how I found you. But what was the genesis of SlotTech? Like, where did you come up with this idea for a kind of unique way of organizing tackle that's, outside the box, I guess, pun intended, maybe, of how we normally organize our tackle?
Well, it was last summer. I was out on Cedar Creek, actually, and I was digging in my tackle box for crankbaits, and I was just fed up. I was like, I pull out one, they're all tangled, and I shake, and I can't get it out because one of them's in the little rings that connect the hook to the bait, and I just like, I'm done with this. Someone needs to fix this. And I'm like, wait, I'm an engineer. I can fix this. So then I just like went home. I had some 3D printers. So I started prototyping, doing stuff like that. And it's came to what it is today. I mean, I've done a lot of iterations, a lot of testing, and the whole patent process took a while, but it's finally all good. So we're out here showing it off to everybody.
Where did the inspiration for it come from? Like, people that are listening to this, which we are like 99.9% audio only. So I know they're not going to be able to see it, but I will hold up like mine right here in the box. So it's a very cool design where you have basically taken the lines or the rows, I guess, of like a flambeau box, and you have said, all right, let's make this really modular, and let's make this so that it perfectly fits whatever SlotTech piece you're putting in there. So I have like a row of jerk baits, I have a row of crankbaits in this box. Where did you draw that idea from? Because there is kind of a unique layout to it. There's a unique angle to it that I'm sure was not just like happened overnight. I'm sure you had to go through a couple iterations, but was there a box out there that you saw that you drew, inspiration from, or where'd you come up with the idea?
Well, originally what I did is like I took a normal like 3700 and I started looking at like how can I set these baits to optimize the storage layout. Like, okay, I was like laying out my jerk baits and I was like, well, I can only fit 2 in a row without them touching, and that doesn't really save me much space. But then I was like, wait, what if I overlap this and design it so where everything stays good? And then like I started overlapping it. I was like, oh my goodness, I just created so much more space for this tackle box. And then the next issue was I want to be able to fit 3 right across, like right next to each other. Because if I was only going to do 2, that wasn't really going to be a huge improvement from other like jerkbait boxes on the market. So I do a lot of really cool things. I think you've been looking at them quite a bit and saw like how I've been using like triangles to really maximize that space in there. So like those hooks just fit perfectly.
So how did your engineering background help you in the design of this? Like when I look at this, I see, I mean, there are things that, and I don't know anything about engineering, but I know like triangles are very important in engineering. And I know that, strength and maximizing space and efficiency and everything. Like I think you probably had a little bit of a leg up from a simpleton like me trying to design this thing.
So I'm very well versed in CAD. I've done tons and tons of CAD in my experience. I did it at my internship. I've done it a lot of personal, and then I've also had a few classes on CAD. So that part is something that'd be very hard to mark up in CAD. It's not simple squares. It's not simple like circles. It's a lot of unique curves I've done so that those baits sit perfectly, and a lot of other unique things like that. Also just understanding 3D printing and all that. I mean, I'm a big 3D printer nerd. I got 10 printers right in the room across from me that are running right now. I'm trying to build up stock for you guys so I don't sell out immediately. But yeah, it's just, I've been an engineer for I've been studying to be an engineer for a long time. So I've always been in that headspace about trying to design something and like that.
I think the special sauce to this, and obviously I'm one person saying this, but I really think like this is why it caught my eye, is the modular aspect of this. Like,
Yep.
I think the fact that you are trying to retrofit an existing tackle box and not trying to get us to go out and buy a $45, $55, $60 tackle box like everybody else is trying to get us to do, that's like your hook. That is the thing that me, a guy that just at my core, like in my redneck bones, I must save money. It's ingrained in me. I've always joked that it's like the 11th commandment for a redneck is like, thou shalt not pay retail. Like you try really, really hard every chance you can to save money. And this is a way, this checks off a bunch of different boxes. But, you know, the fact that you can say, look at like a Plano Edge box, for instance, I think it's a good example and a good comparison. A Plano Edge box, if you take like their jerkbait box, and I'm going to go off the top of my head, but I think this is right. Their 3700 size jerkbait box, I believe, holds like 20 jerkbaits, and it's $60. I'm pretty sure theirs is 20, and then there's also the one that's all the rage right now, Evolution. Evolution is out there, and they burst on the scene like crazy, but they have a jerkbait box too, and I believe it's called their Twitch box or something. It holds 18 maybe. And so what you're doing is you're not only saving money, you're not only having this modular aspect, but the efficiency of what you're able to do with a Flambeau 5007 box, basically, and being able to almost double the capacity of those other boxes is crazy, because I have my Flambeau right in front of me, and you can do 4 rows of, what would that be, 9 each, so you can get 36 in here.
You do 36 jerkbaits in your tackle box. And the cool thing is, like, you can even do like Megabass plus 2s in this system. I've even got Megabass plus 3s in mine. So, I mean, I've been working hard, so it's very universal.
Yeah, the fact that you can check off multiple boxes of like, it's cheaper, you already have this box with you, it's more efficient in terms of the number of jerkbaits you can take with you, like that's where you get a really special product, where you get a win-win-win across the board. So I guess on the modular aspect of this, was that something that came out of necessity because you are a startup and, hey, I don't have a factory that can make specialty jerkbait boxes or crankbait boxes, but I can make a piece to go inside? Was that like just a happy accident? Because I really think that's like the coolest part of this business.
Well, like I knew I wanted to do something different. I wanted to make my own jerkbait box, my own crankbait box, but I'm a college kid. I do not have the money to go out there and start talking to injection molding companies, all this other stuff. I can't do that yet. So I'm like, well, we're going to do what we can, and we're going to make this work. So that honestly has been such a great thing, to just be able to pop them into another box, because my whole thought process is use boxes you already have.
Yeah.
Like there's no reason to go out and buy someone else's box when your box is perfectly fine. And I'm going to tell you, that Flambeau 5007 box is probably one of my favorite boxes I've ever used, and it is $5 from Walmart.
Preach, brother. That's what I've got in my whole system of my kayak, is like, all I need is them to hold baits. That's it. I know everybody's all on the big, like, you know, waterproof stuff right now and all that kind of stuff. I don't need that, because I'm going to put wet baits in this box. They're going to get wet.
Exactly.
Just give me a box that latches. Like, that's all I need. And a Flambeau is, like I said, I think it's $5.86 at my local Walmart to get that Flambeau box. And then with your system to put in, not only can you maximize that space, but you can make this box what you want. You don't have to have a total jerkbait box.
Nope.
With me, I'm a kayak guy, so like space is at a real premium for me. So I can take this box that I have in front of me, and I can do 2 rows of jerkbaits and 2 rows of crankbaits, and I can just have 3 times more hard baits than I could normally take with me with the space I have. Yep,
exactly. And like, so we're holding like 36 jerkbaits, but then for the crankbait one, it's holding 48 crankbaits. Which
Crazy.
Whenever I had someone post something on one of my videos, they're like, I wish you'd just hold more crankbaits. I'm like, you want to hold more than 48 in a 3700 box? Like, what?
Yeah, I don't know if I can get that many just jumbling them all together.
I know, exactly.
So the one thing that's really interesting about this, and I know part of this is probably like the growing pains of having a new product and figuring out what works and what doesn't, but also, again, some of these little happy accidents that happen with, you know, a new product as you get it out there and more people get their hands on it and test it and stuff, is that you have a really hard problem to try and solve, which is that all jerkbaits and all crankbaits are not created equal. Nope. So a Jackal Rerange versus a 110 versus a Smithwick Rogue versus a Sixth Sense Provoke versus like all of these different jerkbaits out there, people might look at them and say, oh, it's a 110-ish size jerkbait. It's got 3 treble hooks. Like, it should be pretty easy to universally find something to cradle it. That's not the case. Like,
No.
This had to be pretty hard. And I know, looking at this, you probably designed it for a Vision 110. Like, it's pretty obvious that was the starting point probably. But
Yeah, it was.
as you get in here and you start putting these together, a lot of things do fit if you put them in the right spot. And so I've found in my box, like, I carry a lot of Smithwick Rogues with me. I love a Smithwick around here in the Midwest, especially in the wintertime. Like, you got to have Rogues with you. The Rogues fit really well in this first slot here that has, I guess that would be right there, that has more lip room. So
Yeah, they have a bill that goes like more down, right?
Yep.
So like my Spro mix sticks, I always put them in the front.
Yeah. So because if you put them in the second or the third row, then they push down a little bit on the back of the jerkbait in front of them. So people can sit there and you can organize these based on the jerkbaits that you actually have in your box. And you'll find a system that works really well for you. Was it hard to make a shape that was not just for one specific jerkbait? Because I'm sure you had to test multiple in here.
Yeah, I mean, at first it was just like, okay, I made it work for the 110. So I'm like, okay, this is great. But then like I started talking to some other people and they're like, that's great that you made one for the 110s. But if you're going to get into the retail business, they don't want to carry like 10 different SKUs of one thing. Because that's a lot of hassle on them. So I'm like, okay, we got to work harder. Let's get this better. And I mean, it probably took me another month or so to get it to a point where I'm like, okay, now it's very universal and it's holding a lot of different jerk baits and it's working.
So what's the piece engineering wise that you were really proud of that you came up with? Because as I sit here and look at it, there's 4 or 5 things I could pick out of just the shape of the way that you made these little holders, where I think the fact that it like almost perfectly has the hooks hanging straight down and kind of touching the bottom, but maximizing that space up and down so that you don't tangle trebles. Like, that's a big deal. What do you think is like your biggest selling point for these individual like SlotTech pieces and things that you were proud of in the design process?
So if we're talking about like the design, one of the biggest things that was like the hardest thing for me to figure out was, how do I get 3 hooks next to each other? Because like the hook's diameter was like, I think it was like 0.7 or 0.6, but then that slot is only like 1.8, 1.9. So 0.7 plus 0.7 plus 0.7 is 2.1, which is more space than you have in that slot. But if you have those hooks always positioned a certain way, you can make so that it fits in that area. That's why I did that triangle design. So it forces the hooks to stay in that correct area so you can actually get them into that slot size. So that was one of the biggest things that I did. And then also the angle that I put to it. So then like jerk baits are kind of sitting under each other. So then you can fit as many as I did, which that is a huge, those triangle things, so you can fit 3 across from each other, and then also the angle thing, so you fit them under each other, is the reason I was able to hit 36 jerk baits in a box.
The one thing that I was like really skeptical of when I put these in my box, and I said they looked really cool in that video, but gosh darn it, they're gonna tangle when you try and pull them out. And you've made this way where you can kind of back them in. Like, you take the back treble hook and you tuck that in first, and then the rest kind of slides in, so you don't have to take the one behind it out to get to it. It is this, it's all angles, and it was really impressive when I like got it in my hands and I started playing with it, and I said, you know what, there's a ton of effort and thought that had to go into this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I just kept working on it, and my engineering brain just kept on doing everything it needed to make it work.
What was like the one hardest part or hardest hump to get over for you?
To be honest, the design wasn't like a hard hump. The hardest hump right now is just figuring out, how am I going to make enough of these to like keep everybody happy? Because I don't know, I've been looking at my view counts a lot for my accounts. I'm probably over 200,000 views in total with all my accounts, like my TikTok, my Instagram. So I feel like this release is going to be pretty big, and I'm going to get stuffed with orders maybe, but we'll see. I'm just hoping.
Well, one, that's a good problem to have. It's way better than the opposite. But I guess the interesting part about the way you're doing this is that they're 3D printed. So if they're, I don't know much about 3D printing, but the one thing I do know is that it's not an efficient process time-wise. Like, it's hard. You basically just have to stack 3D printers. You need more 3D printers side by side to scale something, to be able to produce something at mass. So Is there a world where at some point this could become an injection mold or something like that, where it's more scalable, you can do things quicker versus having to wait on a 3D printer?
Yes, I've already been talking to a few companies about like mold costs, how much it's going to cost per part, and all this other stuff. But right now, I'm probably going to stick around with 3D printers for a little bit longer, because at the moment, one 3D printer can make me about 15 packs in a day.
Okay.
So when I'm saying 15 packs, that's 3 SlotTech. So right now I have 8 3D printers, and they can make me about 105 packs of SlotTech a day.
Okay. So you've got, and a day for you is 12 hours, 24 hours? What do you
like
doing?
12 hours
Okay.
usually, because like it's hard to, I can start a print before I go to bed, but then it finishes way before I wake up.
All right, everybody, we'll get back to the episode here with Campbell in just a second, but first, the Tackle Talk podcast is brought to you in part by Amped Outdoors. Amped Outdoors is an industry leader in lithium batteries, engineered and built for all types of marine applications. We're talking trolling motors, graphs, live sonar, ice fishing, kayak motors, you name it. Amped has a battery for you. With Amped, you get the highest quality components, you get waterproof case designs, and in the larger batteries, you get Bluetooth connectivity, so you always know when your battery is charging, when it's fully charged, and how much power you have out there on the water. Also on those larger batteries, you get heated charging, so you can safely charge those batteries in any weather conditions. You get all of that, plus an industry-leading 10-year no-gimmick warranty and world-class customer service based in Hudson, Wisconsin. So you can head over right now to www.ampedoutdoors.com today and check out the best lithium batteries in the game. All right, let's get back to our conversation with Campbell Coyle.
I guess as far as these SlotTech pieces that I'm looking at now, so you have a crankbait model, you have a jerkbait model right now. Are there plans to have more than this? Like, how specific do you want to get with these at some point, or do you just want to stay more generic?
When you're saying like more specific, do you mean like what type of bait? Like, are you talking about certain brands of baits, or are we saying like certain types of baits? Because like I have plans to go to make like a deep crank box that will fit like crankbaits that are like 6XD, 8XD, the really big 6 cents ones, like stuff like that.
Yeah, that's where I'm going with, like the different types of lures that you can accommodate.
Yeah, like rattle traps, I've planned for those. I've had a ton of people asking about that. Then also, like, I really want to make up a really cool way to store jigs, because I don't feel like there's been like, I really like Plano Edge's box for jigs, but I feel like we can maximize the space a little bit more. But I don't know. We'll just see where it takes us.
The cool part about what you're doing right now, so like I have in front of me, I have my jerkbaits and my crankbait slots here. There are jerkbaits I have that don't fit because they're too fat, right? Like a pointer, for instance, right? A pointer is a very fat body, a Lucky Craft pointer that doesn't fit very well in the current jerkbait box, but it fits really well in the crankbait slot.
Yeah, you showed me that. I was like, well, I guess it works.
Yeah. So like some of that stuff is just as me, a guy that likes to tinker with things, like that's going to be fun too. This is like adult Legos for your fishing lures, which is fun to play with too. Down the road, do you want to take this to a place where you're making your own boxes?
Oh, yeah. That's the main plan, to get enough to where I can make my own boxes. I mean, that's the natural progression to go on from here, because that's what I wanted to do from the get-go, is make my own tackle boxes. And I saw this as the way to like get me there, but it's also a really cool product that I think a lot of people are really going to like.
In a world, like in your brain, if you have a SlotTech tackle box system, is this still a system that has like rows where you can then insert your own pieces into, and I can create my own box to say, hey, all right, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 slots in like the box I'm looking at right now. In a perfect world, how awesome would it be if I can have this box and I could have 12 different bait models in there, right? So I could have a row of jerk baits, a row of crankbaits, a row of deep divers, a row of jigs, and all of this. You keep the modular aspect of it just with boxes that were actually made to fit your SlotTech pieces versus retrofitting them to fit somebody else's.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the track that I want to take. So then like I could make one style of box and I wouldn't have to have as many SKUs. It'd be easier to do that on the get-go, because then I don't have to make tons of different molds and stuff with injection molding companies. But I mean, I still might make my own box where everything's like molded into it. Like this is just a jerkbait box. And if I do that, I might even be able to get more than 36 in a jerkbait box, because I won't be limited by someone else's design.
Yeah. what about the ability to protect this idea? I think this is something that in the fishing world, a lot of times we deal with the knockoff talk all the time. And like there's, and I'm guilty of it sometimes too, right? There's not a lot of original ideas out there, like truly original, truly innovative, truly building a better mousetrap. And that's why I was probably drawn to your product here so quickly, because it's like, it's refreshing to see something new that you don't see all the time. But then with that comes some challenges of protecting it. And the first thing that I saw when I looked up your page was it said patent pending. And I've said a billion times over and over again that in the fishing world, if your idea is not original enough to warrant a patent, then it's not original enough to complain when somebody makes something similar. You are doing something that is original enough that you can file for a patent. What does that process look like?
So you're going to have to, you can file yourself, which is a very bad idea. If you're not a lawyer, you're going to mess up. So I went and talked to, I have a friend who runs another company, a bait company close to me. And I talked to him about who he uses for like his patents and stuff. So he set me up with his attorney, and then I started talking with them. I mean, it's a very pricey process. I will say that, but I think in the long run, it will be worth it. It does take a while though. I mean, you have to do a patent search, and then after you do your patent search, then you also got to do a name search, and then you got to get it filed. It takes a long time to write them and everything, because you have to send off some of your stuff just to make sure if it's okay. Is anyone close to this? That's what the whole patent search is. And when the patent search came back and there was nothing like my thing, I was like, okay, we're good. We're going to be okay. And then getting it filed and everything, and now we're patent pending. So we're waiting to get it all accepted and everything. So it's a official patent, and then everybody can look it up in the patent book and whatever.
So if I'm a consumer and I'm looking at this and I'm listening to this, and this is something that I am interested in, I want to add to my existing boxes. What boxes do you currently fit? I know you're about to launch too. So we are timing this up with
close.
The actual, like being able to go on the website and order these things. What are you going to offer, and what can folks expect?
So right now we got the Flambeau 5007. I'm working the Evolution. I'm working on at the moment. Also working on Plano Stowaway. But I'm probably going to only drop, but the first release is only going to have like 2 boxes. Try to just keep it simple for me so I can focus on building stock for just 2 boxes. Because if, I don't know, I feel like I need to have 1,000 packs just sitting on the side, because that many could sell. I don't know. We'll see.
So go check them out. That's where, again, this really, really spontaneous episode of Tackle Talk came from. And I have, the SlotTech pieces in my Flambeau box right in front of me. I told you before I wanted to do this episode, I was like, can I, buy some from you or get some from you? Because I want to put time in with these to actually look and see and feel and play with these. And they are exactly what I wanted them to be. They are a pretty universal slot in piece, retrofitting my existing boxes that I already use that cost me $5 at Walmart, and I can play with these and I can make this modular tackle box. And it's like something from my little redneck dream of like what I really wish this box looked like when I took it out fishing most of the time. And you found a way to do that, and kudos to you. I think good people making good products deserve to be recognized for it. They deserve to be called out. These are the type of things that I would like to get behind, that I would like to see succeed. Someone that just has a really good idea, has the drive. Luckily for you, you had the engineering background to help you with that too. And yeah, you might not have the biggest marketing budget in the world or the biggest anything, but a good product will take you further than any of those other things. And so that's why I wanted to have you on and give you a chance to kind of shed a little bit of light on this cool product, because I think it's going to be great.
Yeah. I mean, I just can't thank you enough for having me on. When I saw that you sent me a DM, I was just like, oh my goodness, Tackle Talk just DM'd me. Like, I've been listening to your show forever. So, I mean, I've been a big fan of yours for a long time. And I was a little awestruck when I first saw it, but I was just like, dang, okay, we're doing this. Let's do it.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, it's hard that you get bombarded with a billion products, a billion marketing things for fishing all the time. You log on the internet, everybody's trying to shove something down your throat. And it's really refreshing when you come across something that goes, gosh darn, if that isn't cool. And it's even cooler that it's a young, early 20s guy that's just bootstrapping it and saying, hey, I can do this better than the multi-million-dollar tackle companies that have the world, and they just haven't made anything this cost-effective and this efficient yet.
Hey, I'm not calling them out or anything. I don't want them coming after me.
I'll do that for you. I'm allowed to do that. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's cool. I love seeing, local independent people that have a great idea and want to see it succeed. So that is SlotTech. That is Campbell Coyle. Campbell, we wish you nothing but the best. We will have our eyes out for your official launch. Folks, if you're listening to this, I will put all the information in the show notes today and the outro as we finish the show out here. But Campbell, thank you so much for hopping on, man. I appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you, man.
All right, everybody. That is our episode today with Campbell Coyle from SlotTech, a brand new bootstrapped company from a young man that took an idea, ran with it, and is building the coolest modular tackle storage components to retrofit your current tackle box that I've ever seen. So as we mentioned at the beginning of the episode, Campbell's website will go live this Thursday, February 5th, and SlotTech kits will go for sale for the first time ever to the public. Now, pricing-wise, it's 3 inserts for $12.99, or you can get a value bundle, which is 12 of these. That's enough to fill an entire 5007 Flambeau with 36 jerkbaits or 48 crankbaits, like the full pack down to the gills. That box is like as efficient as it can be. You can get that value bundle for $40. So in comparison, a Plano Edge jerkbait box is $60 and it holds 20 jerkbaits. The SlotTech system with a brand new Flambeau 5007 box included is $45 total. And that's going to hold 36 jerkbaits. So $15 less and almost twice the capacity at the same amount of space, and it's modular and customizable. So if you want to support Campbell and be one of the first people on the planet to own probably the coolest thing I've seen in tackle storage in a long time, you can head over to c-2fishing.com this Thursday, February 5th, and you can go pick some up. All right, everybody, that is our episode today. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you all. Next week, we will have our recap from the Columbus Fishing Expo. We will be back with the mailbag. We will be back with the fishing pole. So I would encourage you to go participate in both of those. Go to the website, tackletalkpodcast.com. Click mailbag at the top to submit a mailbag question. Click fishing poll to vote in next week's poll. Be sure to go find us on social media if you can, Instagram, Facebook, at Tackle Talk Podcast. Also, if you can leave us a review on Apple or Spotify, that always helps us a ton. I appreciate you all for doing that. It's just one of those things you can do that costs $0, but really helps the show out. If I can help with anything, you can email me, tackletalkpodcast@gmail.com. And we'll see you right back here next Tuesday for another brand new episode of Tackle Talk.
Thank you for listening to the Tackle Talk Podcast. Tackle Talk is produced by Andrew Hayes. Copyright 2019. For more, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.